What are you saying, Henry? You can't possibly mean that Queen Bronwyn will be the Queen of the Celestial Isles.
Yes, Haxon. That is exactly what I mean.
Whatever the circumstances are, this is completely unprecedented. The Queen of one country proposed to by the King of another one. Your Majesty, forgive me, but I must ask, did you blackmail her?
Haxon, please. She was as eager as I was. In fact, it was the Queen herself who suggested it. There seemed to be a reason, but she could not say more because we had parted quickly. Perhaps King Aldrich is about to divorce her.
Oh, my. Well, I must admit, she is surprisingly well suited. Was her proposal done with sincerity? And did you accept wholeheartedly?
Of course, without hesitation. But now there is a great deal of work ahead of us, Haxon. King Henry gave Haxon a knowing expression. Haxon looked back at him in disbelief.
What are you saying, Your Majesty?
I do not plan to simply take a queen. Bronwyn will be my empress, and I the emperor. With her influence in Elisaria, as well as her good rapport with Rhett, our alliance positions us to be a global superpower. This is not just a decision made for love. It is one for power.
Oh, Your Majesty! I see. Yes, much work to do. But I am happy to do it for the prosperity of the Celestial Isles.
The people of the Celestial Isles had a slight sense of inferiority to Elisaria. Although they were fair matches for each other in terms of ability and strength, the Celestial Isles had been treated like a second-tier force after they were defeated by the Sorcerer army. Discontent between the superpowers had been growing, and Haxon could see that this was their chance to regain the upper hand in global authority. King Henry smiled at his cousin and confidant and gave him a jovial slap on the back. Perhaps this is the last time you will underestimate me. Please, deliver this to Queen Bronwyn, your future empress.
Ah, my poor long-suffering wings.
King Henry tied a letter to Haxon, now in the form of a silver hawk, and opened the window for him to fly away. King Henry's chest swelled with pride. It felt as though his plan was finally coming to fruition. He would have his queen and his empire too. Who goes there? It is I, Your Majesty, your secretary. I come bearing news from the spy in Elisaria. What is it? The successor to the Troby family, Lord Oscar, tried to harm the king's baby and was subsequently banished from Elisaria. King Aldrich sent his own royal guard to ensure Oscar's departure. Find the Queen's brother and bring him to me. Yes, Your Majesty. A queen on the brink of divorce, a brother banished, deciding to rule a foreign country. These cannot be coincidences. As soon as Haxon received his orders to deliver King Henry's letter, he flew to Elisaria without a day of rest. He had been back and forth several times and was familiar with the route to the Queen's bedroom. When Haxon approached the window, he spied a red cloth hanging from it. Haxon had a moment of foreboding, but then he smiled when he remembered that red was a symbol of good fortune in Elisaria.
I thought the Queen was cold. She has an unexpected charming side to her. She must have hung the cloth to celebrate her marriage to King Henry. Perhaps she does love His Majesty.
Haxon swooped down towards the window, but then felt a stabbing pain in his side. He fell down, 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 landing hard against the ground.
I was in the library staring at a report when my eyes started to hurt, and I returned to my room. I had been feeling dizzy the past few days, and my head continuously throbbed when I looked at the dance characters. In need of a break, I lay down on my bed and pressed my hands against my eyes. When I opened them, I caught sight of silver feathers on the windowsill. I wondered if I had missed a letter from King Henry. It reminded me of the silver bird that was Majesty's friend. I approached the window on my knees and studied it. The only silver bird that came in my room was King Henry's, but I did not see him anywhere. However, I did notice something reddish on the wall below the window. Blood. My own blood seemed to chill, and I hesitantly stretched out my fingers. I touched the red stain. Blood indeed, and it was still wet. No. Did the silver bird get hurt when it came here? Several days ago, Aldrich had warned that any birds that came near my window would be shot with arrows. Could he have followed through on such a cruel threat? I did not see his archers anywhere, although I was sure he would have made sure they were concealed. I leaned my head out the window and looked downwards, but no bodies were seen. That did not alleviate my anxiety, though, and I went outside and searched through the Western Palace gardens. There was no bird in the area beneath my window. Was it a coincidence? I went back to my room and left the window open just in case. Laura, please look out for any birds coming to the window. Please make sure they enter safely. Yes, Your Majesty. When I finally had the strength to return to my duties, I could still not concentrate. I had no choice but to return to my bed and give in to my anxieties. I suddenly heard a noise from the parlour room. I closed the window and went out, only to find one of Aldrich's servants standing in the parlour room, with a food cart carrying a large silver platter. Food? Now? Something was not right. What's going on?
His Majesty the King ordered this to be delivered to you.
Sitting on the plate was a roast bird. The aroma of spices wafted in the air as soon as the lid was removed. Wow, it looks delicious! My mind was blank. My eyes could only see the silver feathers ornamenting the roast. Your Majesty? Silver feathers. Roast bird. No. The sight of dark golden oil and green fruits never looked so sickening. I looked at the plump legs and body of the bird, and bile rose to my mouth. I clamped my hand over my mouth as my ladies-in-waiting ran over to me. My vision turned white, and the sight of the roast meat seemed to swirl in front of my eyes. Your Majesty! I was so dizzy. Doctor! Get a doctor, hurry! Someone held me. I felt a thump on my back, but my senses were fading. My soul was already halfway out of my body.
On her way to the southern palace, Rose spotted a small creature that had fallen on the lawn. Its body was pierced by a large arrow. Its silver feathers glittered in the afternoon haze.
Is that a bird? Poor thing. Who did this to you? Perhaps someone was hunting. But my etiquette teacher told me that hunting in the palace is prohibited, and the rule applies to everyone, slaves, commoners, and nobles.
Rose approached the bird in wonder. Rose was not very interested in birds, but it was her first time seeing one with such silver feathers.
Only a noble would raise a bird like this, with such a fine disposition. Perhaps it belongs to Duke Elegy.
Rose paused, surprised by her own train of thought. Why did this bird make her think of Duke Elegy?
Oh!
She realized that this was not her first time seeing a silver bird. There had been one with Duke Elegy before. It looked just like that one. She looked around, took a step closer to the bird, then was startled when the bird opened its eyes and broke into a sad cry. The bird was alive. Not only that, there was a small note tied to its leg.
Perhaps this is the bird Duke Elegy uses as a messenger.
She stretched out her hand and pulled the letter out. If this was for Duke Elegy, it would have to be delivered. She opened and read it while walking to the Duke's room.
If there is some difficult matter you are going through, thinking about it breaks my heart. If you share your suffering with me, Haxon will share his wisdom with you. A love letter! Perhaps Duke Elegy has a mistress.
Quickly, Rose headed towards Duke Elegy's room. What is this, Miss Rose? Duke Elegy fingered the small piece of parchment with a curious look on his face.
I picked it up on a stroll. I believe it is for you.
He thought that Rose was playing games with him, and he smiled and opened the letter. After a moment, his brow furrowed, and he looked back at her. Where did you find this?
It was tied to a silver bird.
A bird?
It was hit by an arrow and was on the ground.
Before she could even finish speaking, Duke Elegy ran out of the room, leaving her there alone, dumbfounded. Finally, he returned with the injured bird in his arms. Rose looked at it warily, sure it was on the brink of death. She could not muster any true sympathy for the pathetic creature.
Is it your bird?
Yes. It is my bird, yes. Thank you. Will you please give me the liquor on that shelf? Thank you. He placed the bird on the bed and poured the liquor onto the bird's wound. Would you mind giving us some peace? I cannot treat him while you are here.
I can help.
No need. It is my duty. Thank you. Please leave. As Rose turned to leave, dejected, Duke Elegy addressed her once more. And, Rose, please keep the contents of the letter secret. I do not want anyone to know I have this sort of relationship with the owner. Rose nodded and left, more curious than ever. Back in her room, Rose could not get the incident off her mind.
Viscountess Amelia, do you happen to know who Haxon is? I think it is someone connected to Duke Elegy. The Haxon associated with Duke Elegy is likely King Henry's cousin and knight. Are you referring to King Henry of the Celestial Isles? Yes, Haxon is a close friend of Duke Elegy, and is King Henry's closest aide.
Rose recalled meeting King Henry when he stayed at the palace. Back then, there was a man with silver hair that stuck to King Henry like a magnet. Was that Haxon? She recalled the words Duke Elegy said to her earlier. Keep the contents of the letter secret. I do not want anyone to know I have this relationship with the owner. The words echoed in her mind. A letter that seemed to whisper love and could not be shared. Rose revelled in the realization that she now was the owner of a dangerous secret.
I opened my eyes to see the ceiling above me, and for a moment I could not fathom why I was lying down. My gaze remained fixed upwards, and no other thoughts entered my head. I closed my eyes again, overcome with fatigue. My eyes were aching, and the back of my head was throbbing. Suddenly, a hand seized mine with an authoritative grip. I turned to see my husband staring back at me.
Are you all right?
I shut my eyes again. I was tired. My eyes hurt so much, and the back of my head was sore. The sound of Aldrich's voice caused the events of earlier to rush back into my head. A silver bird. The one that King Henry held. The one that delivered letters to me. The one that read the letters beside me. The one that dipped its head to peck at a bowl of water. Suddenly, I was overwhelmingly nauseous.
Get the palace doctor!
Even more disgusted by his concern, I pushed him away. I do not need one.
You suddenly fainted. I heard you were completely out of it, and you collapsed.
As he spoke, I touched my hand to my forehead and understood why my head was so sore. There was a pressure on my forehead, and I lifted my fingertips to find a bandage wrapped around it. Aldrich tried to touch me again, but I pushed him away.
My queen. Bronwyn.
Leave, and do not call me by my name.
Queen,
Get out! I turned away, enraged. You warned me that you would kill any birds delivering messages to the palace, but to roast it and send it to me? You have gone too far.
The bird I sent you is not one of the messenger birds.
What about the silver feathers around the roast? Are those the feathers of another bird?
It is true that a silver bird was shot and its feathers were picked up and used. But the meat sent to you was not that bird's.
Have enough respect for me to at least come up with a more believable lie. Leave me be, Aldrich. He arose but did not leave. He just kept looking back at me. The look in his eyes only made me angrier. The silver hawk was murdered. I collapsed in shock. I knew it would hurt King Henry to learn he had lost a bird. So why was Aldrich the one who looked like he was in pain? With a shaky hand, I simply pointed towards the door. You are all lies and deceit. If you were sorry in the first place, you would not have tried to psychologically terrorize me. No matter how much you hate me for exchanging letters with a friend, if you had 1 ounce of care for me, you would have done no such thing. You would have just been content destroying the bird. But you want to destroy me. To think you ever scolded me for having no compassion. Get out. I clenched my blanket with my fists to stop myself from beating him. Finally, he turned and left the room. I turned to my side and pulled the blanket over my head. Hot tears filled my eyes and I sobbed into my sheets. After many hours like this, I decided Henry must know what had transpired. I could not tell him that Aldrich had turned the bird into a decadent meal, but he had to know that the bird would not be returning. And without the bird to deliver my message, I knew who I must visit. Duke Elegy. Slowly, I crawled out of bed and stepped into the parlour room. At my entrance, my ladies-in-waiting all turned their heads. Do not cry, Lady Laura. It is all right. I am all right. It was such a fright. My condition is not serious. I was just tired. But I am in search of a cloak and I would like to take a walk. As I began shuffling along, they all began to follow me, unwilling to leave me unattended. I smiled at their loyalty. I am fine. But they stared at me, unmoved. All right, if you insist. Sir Artemis, will you join me?
Very well, my queen. I was worried, Your Majesty.
Do not worry. I just felt off.
I do hope you will pay attention to your health. Elasaria needs you. You are our queen.
We had reached Duke Eleger's room. Of course, Artemis. Can you wait here for a moment?
Will you meet with Duke Elegy alone?
Yes. What is that sound? Is the Duke injured? As I asked the question, I noticed a silver feather in the grass. Curious beyond my control, I peeked through the gap in the curtains to his room. Oh! To my shock, Henry's knight, Haxon, lay naked in the room. Why was Haxon sprawled there in the nude? Should he not be in the Celestial Isles? I was at a loss for why Henry's right-hand man was lounging in Duke Elegy's bed. I quickly realized that I was spying on the man through the window. I was about to give the door a knock, but Haxon's eyes suddenly locked onto mine. His eyes widened, and he scrambled to yank a blanket over himself.
Your Majesty, what brings you here?
That's what I was about to ask you.
Oh, yes. This is most embarrassing.
Haxon blushed as he searched for an explanation. The door swung open and Duke Elegy stuck his head out, a mischievous grin on his face.
Well, dear Haxon, it looks like we have been caught.
What? Stop it, Elegy. Stop with the eccentric jokes, will you?
I will not. I find it too amusing.
Your Majesty, Duke Elegy is joking. I'm sorry.
I had absolutely no idea what was going on. Shall I return later?
Please, it is a misunderstanding. I was on an errand for King Henry, and I was injured and ended up here. Oh!
Sir Haxon, are you all right? I studied the writhing man and noticed the bandage around his torso, stained with blood.
Come now, Haxon. Back to bed. You will never heal with this type of movement. No wonder they call you bird-headed.
Bloody hell!
I moved carefully towards the centre of the room.
Can you come back later, Your Majesty?
I ignored the Duke as I was completely distracted by Haxon's terrible injury. It looked quite severe. Shall I call a doctor for you?
No, thank you. I am fine.
The palace had places where visitors could come and go, but the Southern Palace was not one of them. Why would Haxon, a close aide of a foreign king, be found in the middle of the Southern Palace? I wrung my hands with worry. I do not know what's going on here, but, Duke Elegy, I have a favour to ask of you.
A favour? From me?
Even in the most serious of matters, he had the look of a trickster. Are you still a friend of King Henry's?
Well, that is an unexpected question.
I looked around the room anxiously. It seemed as though everyone in this palace had secrets.
Why are you asking that all of a sudden, Your Highness?
When you speak to King Henry, please tell him that his silver bird is dead. The room fell silent, and both men stared at me, taken aback.
The silver bird is dead.
Yes, and it is not safe here for birds to visit. Henry was clever enough to work out what Aldrich had ordered. It did not bother to talk about the roast bird because it was too horrible. With those words, I scurried out of the room.
What do you think Queen Bronwyn meant when she said it's not safe here?
Does she know I was hit by an arrow?
She said everything with such a grim expression, almost like a warning.
Ugh.
Haxon clutched his head with both hands.
She did not even get the letter. How will they communicate? Oh, dear.
First things first, we must get you well again. Then we can worry about the letter. Duke Elegy picked up the gauze and tweezers. Haxon groaned as Elegy poured more alcohol onto the wound. We will not be able to complete any of our plans while you're like this.
I returned to my room, but all I could think about were Duke Elegy and Haxon. I wondered why the knight was here, and why he was hurt. My eyes alighted on the silver feather on my desk. The feather was retrieved from the windowsill and reminded me of Haxon's silver hair. Henry's bird was injured, and Haxon was hurt too. Could that be a coincidence? A person could not change into something else. I fell into dreams, still imagining all the explanations. Around breakfast time, Lady Laura came into the room and caused a commotion, startling me awake. "Your Majesty, you were looking for a bird that was hurt yesterday." "Yes, Laura, did you find him?" "I believe so, Your Majesty. I heard someone say they saw Duke Energy hugging an injured bird." "You don't say?" Yesterday's event seemed all the more strange after I heard Lady Laura's story. A silver bird was wounded by an arrow. Duke Energy rescued the injured bird, and a hurt Haxon lay in his room. Meanwhile, Haxon was in the palace on an errand for Henry, and no one knew he was here. There was something beyond my grasp happening here, and so I knew who to consult: the court sorcerer. This was not something I was going to be able to figure out on my own. I entered the court sorcerer's chambers carefully. This was not a place to move without caution. It was filled with magic, both ancient and new, and I had the utmost respect for the powers that resided within these walls.
Greetings, Your Majesty.
The sorcerer bowed to me deeply. I waved him to stand up. It was no occasion for niceties. Can a person change their form with magic? The court sorcerer looked at me peculiarly, but he answered with a serious tone.
You mean into a bird, Your Majesty?
What? How did you... It doesn't have to be a bird. It can be any animal.
There is no sorcerer that is characterized by animal transformation.
I see. Was I off the mark that Haxon was the silver bird? But the sorcerer's words did not end there.
But there is a record of the bird-headed tribe.
Bird-headed? Have I heard this before? That name seemed to stir a memory.
It is not a well-known story. The records are very old, and I am not even sure it is true. It is a strange claim. The bird-headed tribe was said to be no different from walking and talking people, but they could transfigure between human and bird form, soaring through the skies, finding themselves in places certain humans might be unwelcome.
Where are the tribe members now?
Gone. All gone. Their numbers gradually diminished, eventually fading away into legend.
Is there any chance that any of them would still be alive?
Perhaps. If they are, they would not reveal themselves. You can tell by the fact they were recorded not as the bird tribe, but rather the bird-headed tribe, that they did not have good rapport with people. It is said, Your Majesty, that they are not to be trusted.
Could it really be a coincidence that Haxon and the bird were injured simultaneously? Is he the bird or is he not? I had lost count of how many pen nibs I had broken in the midst of my spiraling thoughts. I barely noticed a court official approaching, concerned.
Your Majesty, should you perhaps take a rest today? You do not seem well.
I am fine, thank you. If Haxon is the bird, I would be happy, I told myself. It would mean that the silver hawk was indeed alive. I was relieved that I hadn't done anything unbecoming in front of the silver bird. No pats to the rear, hugs or kisses, or undressing in the bird's presence. Only with Majesty had I done such things. Oh dear. Could Majesty have been another one of King Henry's subordinates? As this thought occurred to me, another pin nib had broken. Who was I kidding? The identity of the majestic bird I had come to love so dearly was now in question. I was too tormented to continue with my work. I needed to get to the bottom of this, and get some answers from these men, or were they birds, with whom I had found myself involved. I waved over the court official who was still standing nearby. Actually, dear sir, I do believe I will take to my quarters. Hopefully some much-needed rest will prepare me better for the matters at hand later or tomorrow. Do I trust you can carry on without me?
Of course, Your Majesty.
I exited the office hastily. As I was approaching the safe haven of my room, I found Aldrich's servant standing there with a mysterious object. It was tall and on wheels, and a cloth concealed the top. It was far larger than the silver platter he chose to torture me with. My ladies-in-waiting surrounded me with wide eyes, nearly salivating at the mystery. What's this? Has he roasted a sacred peacock this time? A dragon, perhaps?
It is a gift from the king to Her Majesty.
A gift? To what do I owe the pleasure? Beneath the curtain was a silver hawk in a cage. Oh, thank goodness it is alive this time. The bird shone with exquisite beauty, but I was picking up a sense of mockery in the undertones. Whether Henry's bird was dead or not, Aldrich wanted to hurt me. I simply stood there and stared at the cage, and the servant scampered off, unsure how to react now that his chore was complete. My ladies wheeled the cage into my parlour room. The bird did seem quite gentle in personality. I felt tears brimming as we locked eyes. I could tell he was intelligent. I walked over to the cage and fingered its elegant bars. I had to break my gaze with the bird as hot tears rolled down my face. I could only think of the trauma from yesterday. Eliza, please, return this cage to Aldrich.
Rose nervously paced and clutched her large doll. Several days had passed since Aldrich had promised to make her queen. She thought he would have notified the queen about the divorce by now, but he had yet to act.
What is he thinking?
She pondered anxiously, hugging her doll tighter and tighter. She knew that no matter how tightly she held on, this inanimate object would not stab her in the back. She clutched it for dear life as she recalled watching Aldrich prepare a beautiful silver bird to give to Queen Bronwyn.
A silver bird! An elegant silver bird fit to be raised by a noble. As soon as I wanted a bird of my own, Aldrich had chosen to gift one to the Queen instead.
She was set to explode into a fit of anger when she heard something. She set down her doll and peeked outside. A man was passing down the hall, pulling a cage on a wheeled stand.
What is that?
This bird was given by the king to the queen.
But why bring the bird back here?
Her Majesty asked that it be taken back.
Rose sensed that this servant was afraid to return the gift to the king. With her wild beauty and newfound noble status, she knew she could control someone as fearful and powerless as him.
His Majesty is not here at this time of day, so you will have to leave the bird in the hallway. But if the bird is left out there, it might catch a cold. You do not want the king to come back to find his job incomplete and the bird sick, do you?
No, please, miss.
I will take it from you. My maid will deliver it, do not worry. You can always come to Miss Rose when the Queen is out of line. I will make sure the king remains happy with those who respect him.
Oscar was filled with disquiet as he traversed what felt like a never-ending road. His concerns were not trivial matters like the Troby family succession or his plummeting reputation. Ample money and jewels from Marquis Faring and Queen Bronwyn ensured his comfort. Darker plots filled his mind, ones that would affect generations to come. How can I exact revenge on Aldrich and Rose and secure my sister's reign as queen? Suddenly, a voice hailed from behind. Oscar tightened his grip on the reins, casting a glance back.
Lord Oscar! Lord Oscar!
What is this? A bandit? Oscar instinctively reached for his sword, but the Celestial Knight displayed no aggression. Oscar found himself a tad disappointed. He could use a good slaying to spice up the day. The man paused, catching his breath before speaking.
You're too fast. I thought I would never catch up to you.
Can I help you? I'm afraid I do not wish to share my shaving tools to assist you with the mangled mess on your face. The man's face contorted into an offended expression, but he soon remembered his duty.
I am from the Celestial Isles. I was sent by King Henry.
The Celestial Isles? Why?
He instructed me to bring you to him. He wishes to discuss a matter with you concerning your sister, the Queen.
Unimpressed by the knight, Oscar let out a disdainful snort. What kind of scam is this?
I speak the truth, Lord Oscar.
Surely King Henry fancies my great wealth. My disdain for politics and reputation is well known. What sort of investment is he looking for?
Investment?
The man cried out in dismay, pointing to the symbol of the Celestial Isles on his chest.
I come bearing an official request from our new king. I assure you it is not a scam, my friend.
Oscar studied the crest. The authenticity of the symbol did little to convince Oscar that he cared about the Celestial King's summons. I will not answer a summons from the King of the Celestial Isles, even if it is about anything related to my sister.
But why not?
Because I am choosing to come on my own accord. It just so happens I have some business to discuss with him as well. The two men sized each other up as the knight considered his options. Instead of leaving, Oscar stared at the man expectantly. When the man looked confused, Oscar responded, Well, shouldn't you guide me?
Oh, yes, indeed. Come this way.
Expelled from his country with no rights, Oscar followed along. He had no intention of approaching the King of the Celestial Isles with humility. He recalled the rumors of Henry's infatuation with Rose. Already mistrustful of the king, Oscar had no reason to believe the summons. If the King of the Celestial Isles had truly summoned him, he was determined to use the king to lead him to Rose. Rose sensed an aura of nobility in the silver bird and was captivated by its regal feathers. Yet she reminded herself this was no time for admiration. She had a mission.
I'm sorry, little bird.
Even the bird felt the tension the room was charged with. After her half-hearted apology, Rose reached for the bird. Gripping a handful of feathers, she summoned the courage to yank them out. The bird screeched, fluttering in surprise, caged and defenseless. Undeterred, Rose persisted, pulling more feathers. The bird retaliated, pecking her hand.
Ouch!
She recoiled, and the bird shot her a dark glare. She met its stare with her own darkness. If she put her hand in the cage again, she might get seriously hurt. She looked at her plunder and decided she had enough feathers anyway. She brushed them off the floor and hid them in a pillowcase. Rose clung to her determination to protect herself and her unborn child. The Queen's brother might be banished, but the Troby family's threat still loomed. Aldrich's promise to make her queen did not assure her safety. As she looked at the small, injured bird, she felt a knot form in the pit of her stomach.
How was I driven to do something so cruel?
The room, now filled with Rose's sobs, was shrouded in an atmosphere of despair. The perceived hostility from the Queen had pushed Rose to a point she never imagined. She sat in her ornate armchair, weeping uncontrollably, cradling her pregnant belly. As the sky outside darkened, the air grew thick with anguish. When Aldrich arrived, hours later, Rose's room felt heavy with unspoken tension. His eyes immediately zeroed in on Rose's tear-streaked face. "Why are you crying?" With a shaking hand, Rose pointed towards the cage, and Aldrich's eyebrows furrowed at the sight of the bird's damaged plumage. "Why is the bird in this state? And why do you have it? What have you done?"
The Queen sent it back. Cheryl brought it here and gave it to me.
"What happened to its feathers?"
I do not know.
She shook her head, sniffling. Despite the bird's hostile glare, she was determined to raise it for herself. The feathers she'd gathered were hidden in a pillowcase.
Your Majesty, now that the Queen has abandoned the bird, may I keep it?
The room echoed with the silence that followed. Rose, teary-eyed and vulnerable, awaited Aldrich's response. He continued staring at the bird in silence, his expression unreadable.
Your Majesty, I want to take care of it. It is so pitiful.
Why do you want a bird that someone else has abandoned? I will buy you a new one.
This creature has a life too. How can you throw it away?
Who said I will throw it away?
Why will you keep the bird that Her Majesty has abandoned?
Rose looked at him nervously. His reaction did not make sense. She did not expect him to raise a bird himself. The king was a proud man, and he was supposed to be furious that the Queen ruined and rejected his gift. The king was not as angry as he should be. Was it because he still had feelings for the Queen? He said he was going to unseat her. Did he change his mind? Without a word, Aldrich took the cage and left Rose's room. The following day, King Aldrich's anger had not abated. Instead, it erupted in a confrontation with Marquis Carlson. The chief secretary, carrying the latest report on the loss of magic in Elisaria's mages, entered Aldrich's office, only to find the king in a foreboding state, arms crossed and a dark expression etched on his face.
"Your Majesty, what's the matter? Has something occurred?"
Nothing. Nothing at all. Marquis Carlson, attempting to proceed with business, presented his report, but Aldrich's attention was clearly elsewhere. He skimmed the document without any change in his troubled expression. As Carlson turned to leave, Aldrich suddenly addressed him. "Have you found the slave certificate for Rose yet?"
"No, Your Majesty. Nothing has been found in the Queen's possessions, nor her brother's."
"So you've given up the search?"
"Not entirely. I extended the search to the knight's quarters."
But still, the document remains elusive. The existence of the slave certificate, confirmed by Viscount Rothescue, Lord Oscar, and the slave registry, had become a thorn in Aldrich's side, yet no physical evidence had surfaced. Aldrich's plan to divorce the Queen hinged on this elusive document. Aldrich sighed deeply, his fingers massaging his temples.
Are you not aware that time is of the essence? I cannot afford delays in this matter. The divorce must be finalized and remarriage must occur before Rose's pregnancy comes to term.
Yes, Your Majesty.
The Queen will not yield easily. We must find that certificate quickly and destroy it.
Marquis Carlson stood silently, aware of the King's mounting anxiety. Aldrich's troubled thoughts were evident as he leaned back in his chair, his heavy eyelids closing over weary eyes. The complications of pursuing the divorce were taking their toll. The King was ensnared in a web of his own making, filled with uncertainty and unease.
I'd hoped to avoid the blindfold method.
Your Majesty?
If the trade certificate can't be eliminated, we have no choice. I must resort to a tactic used by previous kings with their concubines.
You intend to erase Rose's identity?
Yes, it's the only viable solution if the certificate surfaces. Find someone suitable from the ranks of fallen nobility. Older, if possible. Gender doesn't matter.
At once, Your Majesty.
The Marquis bowed and exited, leaving Aldrich alone with his thoughts. The King leaned back, closing his eyes. The silver bird, a symbol of his conflict with Queen Bronwyn, loomed in his mind. Bronwyn's pale, distraught face was a haunting reminder of the consequences of his actions. The complexity of orchestrating the divorce was filled with unexpected twists and turns. The thought alone filled him with a deep sense of unease, the repercussions of his decisions stretching out like shadows in the dimming light of his chamber.
After calming from my initial fury over Aldrich's treatment of the silver bird, my thoughts inevitably drifted back to Haxon. Curious about his condition, I decided it was time to seek answers directly from Duke Elegy. Walking through the corridors of the Southern Palace, I reached the Duke's door and knocked, only to find no response. As I knocked again, a voice unexpectedly responded from behind me.
Your Majesty! So nice to see you here.
I turned round to find Duke Elegy holding a bunch of baby's breath flowers in his hand.
I just picked these flowers. Would you like them?
No. Is Sir Haxon in sight?
Oh my, I'm embarrassed now.
Just answer my question, Duke Elegy. Is Sir Haxon here?
But these flowers would look so nice on your dresser. Perhaps you could give them to one of your maids.
Fine. Now please.
You accept flowers from me with a sigh? Wow, I don't think I've ever been this embarrassed.
Duke Elegy, if you do not answer me, I will have you dragged from this room. Now for the last time, is Haxon here?
I don't think you could drag me from here yourself, or else I'd let you. You are quite a challenge, and I admit I find it quite stimulating.
I concluded that Haxon wasn't present. I handed the flowers back to Duke Elegy and attempted to leave. He followed.
Haxon's not nearly as hurt as he appeared.
I turned back. I am beyond tired of these games. As I pondered the nature of the conversations between Duke Elegy and Rose, another question surfaced in my mind. If Haxon was the silver bird, as I suspected, then Duke Elegy would surely know. I'd like to ask you a question.
Oh, please do.
Is Haxon a bird? Duke Elegy's laughter grew louder at my inquiry, and I felt a flush of embarrassment.
What kind of new insult is that?
Never mind, it's nothing. I felt foolish for my roundabout questioning. Disheartened and still without clear answers, I left Duke Energy's company. The mystery of Haxon and the silver bird remaining unresolved in my mind.
After Queen Bronwyn's departure, Duke Elegy couldn't suppress a self-amused smile. The way she had uttered her question about Haxon being a bird with such a cold, serious expression had struck him as particularly amusing. He pondered over Henry's attraction to someone he perceived as so unremarkable.
Could it be her appearance that captivates Henry so?
Shaking his head, Duke Elegy had to admit it was incredible that the Queen had discovered the legend of the bird-headed tribe so quickly.
She's certainly quick on the uptake.
Underlying his amusement was a hint of respect. In his eyes, Queen Bronwyn's swift grasp of the legend, even if she took it a bit too literally, was a testament to her sharp intellect and keen sense of inquiry. It was a quality that, in his opinion, set her apart, regardless of whether it was appreciated by others or not.
On the day of the monthly State Council, the palace was abuzz with activity as senior ministers and committee members convened for the important assembly. While King Aldric's presence was obligatory, my role as Queen granted me more discretion. I typically attended only when matters related to my own duties or affairs were on the agenda. After deliberating for half an hour, I decided to attend the meeting, suspecting that Aldric might publicize our impending divorce. As I made my way to the council hall, I couldn't help but ponder over the recent events. Has Haxon returned to Henry? I wondered. The complexities of our situation weighed on my mind, and I speculated about Henry's next move. Upon entering the hall, I caught Aldric's brief glance, but he quickly looked away, offering no greeting. His earlier pretense of remorse had faded, revealing his true disposition. I took my seat, maintaining a stoic expression, and felt his sidelong glances throughout the meeting, though I never returned them. The atmosphere grew tense when the meeting resumed. Lord Palm had addressed the council chamber.
We'll proceed with matters regarding the declining number of majors shortly. But first, we must address the matter of the eternal 1,000 bandits, brought to the council's attention by Lord Oscar.
The mention of my brother Oscar visibly darkened Aldric's mood. Several nobles cast warning glances at Lord Palm.
I understand that the mention of Lord Oscar may be a sensitive issue, but the safety and security of our territory trumps these trivial matters. We do not know why the eternal 1,000 have amassed in such numbers.
I'll have it looked into. Are we finished, Lord Palm?
Before Lord Palm could answer, Baron Lant interrupted. Aldric allowed him to speak out of turn, which was unusual.
There is one other matter, Your Majesty.
What is it, Baron?
I braced myself, anticipating that he might broach the subject of my divorce.
It is about Rose's parents.
Her parents?
They claim to be from the Callan family.
Gasps of astonishment echoed through the chamber. The Callan family, once prominent but fallen due to political misalignment, was now linked to Rose.
Is it true?
I believe so, but I'll need to verify their claims.
The timing was almost too perfect. Rose's supposed noble lineage was emerging just as Aldric was planning to divorce me. It was difficult not to react cynically to the unfolding drama. The conversation between Aldric and Baron Lant feeling almost scripted in its convenience. Aldric's decision to fabricate a noble lineage for Rose was an ironic echo of his father's past actions. Something he had once despised. Watching him now, I couldn't help but notice his ears reddening, perhaps a sign of his own awareness of the hypocrisy. But from a different angle, how deep must his affection for Rose be, that he would stage such a charade he once abhorred?
Is there anything else, Baron Lant?
That is all, Your Majesty.
This smells of a plot by the king.
Oh, but look at her. I can believe she comes from nobility.
Aldrich then signalled for the next speaker, Ambassador Magnus from Boheme. The ambassador's hesitant approach and frequent glances toward Baron Lant signalled unease. As Ambassador Magnus spoke, his revelation stunned the assembly.
A couple in Boheme also claims Miss Rose, your concubine, to be their lost daughter.
Aldrich's bewildered expression caused me to clench my jaw to suppress my reaction. A subdued chuckle spread amongst the ministers. Baron Lant's widened eyes betrayed his shock, while the ambassador seemed to grasp the awkwardness of his disclosure.
They are nobles as well.
I leaned towards Aldrich, my voice low but audible only to him. My goodness, Aldrich, she must have 6 parents. His ears flushed deeper, a clear indication of his discomfort. As I turned my gaze forward, the ministers struggled to maintain their composure amidst the absurdity of the situation. Aldrich, visibly nervous, tapped the arm of his chair.
One of the couples must be fraudulent. Perhaps both. Regardless, we cannot let such deception go unpunished. Arrest them all!
His command to imprison all involved was a desperate bid to salvage the situation, but the damage to his credibility was already evident.
Rose, still in low spirits since the incident with the silver bird, sought out Duke Elegy for some solace. Upon hearing the recounting of the State Council's meeting from him, she couldn't help but erupt into laughter, amused by the absurdity of the situation.
Ha! This is too good.
You shouldn't laugh. This is serious.
Rose, realizing her mistake, turned sheepish.
I understand. Is this your plan? Are they both yours?
No, I only bribed the couple from Boheme.
The ones you told me about?
Yes.
So, are the ones brought by Baron Lant frauds?
Duke Elegy's smile widened.
They are fakes, bought by your lover.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Well, I must say I am deeply touched that both you and Aldrich have done this for me.
Her cheeks flushed pink with emotion.
What happens now?
You can't have 4 parents, so one couple will be branded as a fake.
Which one?
This is your decision. Which one do you want to be real?
The one that people will believe.
That's the right answer. The nobles likely think that the couple Baron Lant presented were fake, often used to cover up identities. The king would have done this. But another couple appeared, and their credibility would be higher. His Majesty cannot have presented 2 pairs.
So I will say that the couple you arranged are my parents.
Well, aren't you smart?
Duke Elegy put his palm to Rose's cheek. She giggled in response, delighted by the turn of events. Now that she had fake parents, she would be considered a noble lady. Duke Elegy had told her that she needed the support of the common people and the trust of the council to challenge the queen. Now she had been elevated to that position. Everything was falling into place.
There's something else you must keep in mind, Rose.
I know what you are going to say. I must appease the ministers?
Yes, but that's a long way off yet. Something else.
What is it?
The fake parents. You must treat them like your real parents.
But why? They only lent me their name for money. Haven't we paid them enough?
Yes, but then people would only see you as an imitation. Your goal is not to be a concubine, but a queen. A concubine with fake parents may be overlooked, but a queen's background will be scrutinized. Treat them as if you missed them in a dramatic fashion, and in return, they will treat you like their long-lost daughter. That's the way it must be. Oh, and one more thing.
Yes?
Pick your parents wisely. The ones you don't choose will be executed.
As Rose enjoyed her light-hearted meeting with Duke Elegy, Aldrich was ensnared in serious contemplation. He was well aware that the noble couple presented by Baron Lant would be viewed as fraudulent. Paradoxically, the Boheme couple's story seemed more believable and captivating. The tale of a destitute aristocratic girl reunited with her parents was far more engaging than a concubine's identity being altered. If managed correctly, such a narrative could capture the public's imagination. Yet the situation had made Aldrich the subject of ridicule. He closed his eyes, feeling a wave of dizziness from the embarrassment. Emulating his father's tactics had backfired, even eliciting laughter from Queen Bronwyn.
Your Majesty, Please accept my deepest apologies.
It's fine. Aldrich, though feeling far from fine, felt the need to reassure his loyal servant. This was his own doing. Opening his eyes slowly, Aldrich's gaze held a new-found determination. Baron Lant and Marquis Carlson exchanged unsure glances, unable to discern the king's thoughts. Baron Lant, where is the couple you brought?
They're being held on the first floor of the tower, along with the other couple claiming to be Rose's parents. They're not exactly criminals, so we've kept them there. If they reveal I am behind this, Your Majesty...
They won't. Let's go. Aldrich rose from his seat. Baron Lant and Marquis Carlson followed suit. Upon reaching the tower, Aldrich entered the first floor alone. The couple procured by Baron Lant knelt in supplication as Aldrich appeared.
Have mercy, Your Majesty. We were deceived.
We were told it was your wish for us to be Rose's parents. We never intended to involve ourselves in such affairs.
Aldrich observed them, noting their gaunt cheeks and pale complexions. It was these very features that had made them suitable for his purpose. What is the name of the person who deceived you?
It's Baron Lant.
That's right.
No, you are mistaken.
What? I assure you it was Baron Lant, my lord.
No, it was Oscar Troby. The couple was taken aback, their faces registering shock. Even though they were not deeply entrenched in high society, they recognized the name.
Oscar Troby, the Queen's elder brother? Isn't he also the heir to the Troby family?
It wasn't him, Your Majesty. It was Baron Lant, like we told you. We would never deceive you.
You are deceiving me and all of Elasaria, if you believe it was Baron Lant.
Aldrich hinted at his unspoken expectations. Realizing the king's intention to shift the blame to the queen's brother, the couple exchanged a frightened look. Despite their ordinary and decent nature, the prospect of lying weighed heavily on them.
Your Majesty, we are very fond of the Queen.
The Queen's kindness offers little when your life is in jeopardy from mine. Aldrich gave them a hard glance, but their own survival took precedence.
Yes, that's right.
Come to think of it, that was the name he gave us. Oscar Troby.
And what about his face?
His features were unforgettable, Your Majesty.
He looked just like the Queen.
His eyes? Were they green?
Yes, green as the forest.
And his hair colour is blonde, is it not?
Dark blonde.
Their hands trembled as they clutched onto each other. You admit that you did this of your own behest, and you will testify in public.
Yes, Your Majesty. And you will spare us?
What were you offered in exchange for lying?
Enough to buy a house, Your Majesty.
You'll be given enough to buy an entire estate. Several mansions, if you wish.
You are too kind, Your Majesty.
After leaving the couple, Aldrich promptly summoned Marquis Carlson to his chamber. Bring me the divorce papers, immediately. Though he knew of the king's intention to divorce, the reality of it happening so abruptly left Marquis Carlson momentarily stunned.
Yes, Your Majesty. Are you really going through with the divorce?
Did you not believe I would?
Of course not, Your Majesty.
Marquis Carlson exited the room, returning 15 minutes later with the divorce contract from the High Priest. Aldrich positioned the document at the center of his desk, dipped his pen into the inkwell, and hesitated momentarily before beginning to write. Marquis Carlson silently hoped Aldrich would have a change of heart, but the king's resolve was unyielding. The pen's tip touched the paper, its ink marking the beginning of the end. Aldrich meticulously listed the reasons for divorce, citing Oscar's aggressive actions towards Rose, his alleged kidnapping and assault of Viscount Rothescue, and the bribe to the noble couple to pose as Rose's parents. Completing the document, Aldrich paused, closing his eyes as Queen Bronwyn's pale face haunted his thoughts. His heart felt heavy, plagued by doubt and anxiety.
Your Majesty, is there anything I can say that could make you reconsider?
Aldrich sealed the envelope, stamping it with his royal seal, and handed it to Marquis Carlson. No. Now go. Deliver it.
Your Majesty, do you really need to do this? Perhaps with some more time for reflection.
I am doing this because time is of the essence. The Queen hasn't conceived and there is a royal baby on the way. There is too much at stake.
He closed his eyes again, burdened by the implications of his actions.
Without my child, the line of succession would fall to Grand Duke Lavilla, and by extension, to his son Shire.
Lord Shire.
Yes. Shire's indecisiveness, along with his father's ambitions, would lead to chaos for the realm.
But Your Majesty, perhaps the Queen may still bear a child. We could wait and reassess later. Give her time, I beg you.
In those years, my first child with Rose will already have grown.
Then he could have a younger sibling.
What if the future heir feels threatened by a much younger sibling?
And what if they grow a bond that only brothers can? I have a brother, an older brother. His counsel has led me here. Why are you so certain that the Queen is infertile?
Aldrich seemed on the verge of revealing his reasons, but then shook his head.
You are treading dangerously with this line of questioning. Deliver the letter. The details will be discussed with the High Priest.
Marquis Carlson, his mind filled with unanswered questions and concerns, reluctantly took the letter and departed. As he walked away, he couldn't help but wonder about the true motivations behind Aldrich's certainty of the Queen's infertility, a question that echoed unanswered in the corridors of the palace. Viscount Rothescue, having suffered a brutal assault at the hands of Oscar, had not seen Rose for several weeks. His injury was severe. Aldrich had sent the palace doctor, Dr. Enric, to attend to Rothescue. Despite receiving the best medical care, his ear could not be saved.
Your eardrum itself wasn't injured, thankfully. That bastard cut my ear off, and you call that good news? Would you have preferred to lose your hearing entirely? I would have preferred if it were never cut off at all, you son of a bitch!
Rothescue had attempted to get up, and then stumbled in writhing pain. He would also walk with a noticeable limp, likely through the end of his days.
Get out!
Alan, Viscount Rothescue's son, held his child close, watching his father's distress with concern. Rothescue was beside himself with anger, after having pulled himself onto his bed, gasping for breath. Alan walked over to his father with Isidore in his arms.
Did you know, Father, holding a baby can be so healing? I know Isidore would love to know his grandfather. Why don't you hold him?
You imbecile! I want to be alone. Take that abomination and get out!
Rothescue's face turned an angry shade of purple. Alan quickly left the room with his crying baby. Pondering over Rose, he had hoped to show his father how much the baby resembled her. As he descended the stairs, he encountered Liliana carrying a bowl of soup.
What were you doing?
I went to visit Father.
With that awful lump? Leave him be. It will only make Father worse.
This awful lump is your nephew, your flesh and blood.
I'm sorry, Alan. Your face, complexion, and hair. Separately, they're all beautiful. I wish I could love him as a nephew, but I could never love something that came from Rose.
Liliana brushed past him with the soup bowl. Alan sighed, kissing his baby's forehead. He was about to descend the stairs when a sudden yell from his father's room caught his attention. Curious, Alan returned to his father's bedroom.
Father, are you all right?
Viscount Rothescue was trembling, fixated on the parchment he was reading.
Should I fetch the doctor?
Handing the baby to Liliana, he approached his father to investigate the cause of his distress. The tension in the room was palpable, as Alan braced himself for what had so deeply unsettled his father.
Father, please speak to me.
In response, Viscount Rothescue, still fuming, flung the parchment at Alan. The paper fell limply against Alan's shoulder, who then picked it up and unfolded it. He saw that it was a royal proclamation. As Alan scanned the document, he searched for what could have provoked such a reaction from his father. The contents seemed mundane at first. Then something caught his eye.
Noble parents. 2 couples are claiming to be the parents of the commoner concubine, both asserting noble lineage. This is about Rose.
Viscount Rothescue, overhearing Rose's name, kicked off his blankets in anger.
It's impossible! I know for a fact she didn't have noble parents.
Do you know who Rose's parents are, Father?
I know more than you know, boy, and I damn well know those parents are not hers. They are frauds.
Rothescue pulled himself out of bed, limping in anger.
Father, you can't get up yet.
Father, please, you will only hurt yourself more.
Noble parents? Ha! Nothing could be more ridiculous. They are either swindlers or... Yes. They are being paid. This is either the king's doing or Rosa's doing. It is time she knows there is much more she left behind than just her child. The past is a bitch, Rose, and it's about to catch up to you.